Darren, I remember about 3 years ago, I think, yeah, it was 3 years ago, Darren Julian called me from Millbrook.
Yeah.
And he said, I know this artist, Darren Julian. I said, is he a relative? He said, no, different spelling, E and A, I didn't know then.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it was my son, Lucas, and I who came to your place the first time. And you had this beautiful painting there.
Yeah.
And it depicted the tree that was on one side dead. That's where the skyscrapers were, the civilization, so to speak, modern civilization. And on the left side, there were the teepees, and everything was alive on that side of the tree. There were the eagles or seagulls there. Everything was really completely alive. And to me, it showed so much the connection that First Nations people have to nature. Often was taken away, but at least they did have it, and they're trying to regain it. Mm-hmm. And yet it showed very much how people just construct houses sometimes regardless of where, not looking at the environment, at the wildlife and whatnot. And so the painting I've shown to hundreds of Europeans. I mean, like, you've been here many times when Europeans are here, and they loved it. Mm-hmm. And afterwards, if you feel like it, maybe we can go over the painting in English a bit for our viewers everywhere, what it's all about. But the second thing that was very interesting, suddenly, I saw a drum. I saw a drum that was in your shop, and I think Mandy, your wife, made it, right?
Yep.
So I asked you about Mandy, and you said, well, she doesn't really paint, but she makes drums. But I was so intrigued by the drum that I was hoping Mandy would paint. And this is 3 years ago. Looking back, she has a natural ability, a gene or something for it. I'm not sure what it is, but she is an incredibly good artist, painting. And then suddenly this nice older lady knocked on our door, and she said, I'm Sandra Simon. And I said, nice to meet you. And she said, Darren is my son. And I do quill baskets. I didn't know what they were at the time. I mean, I had a rough idea, and she explained it to me. And by now, I think we must have bought 40, 50 of her quill baskets, and they're all through the world on display. But my question to you is, obviously your family is full of art and spirituality. Where does they come from?
I don't know, I guess, just the way we're raised and stuff. Like, my dad was an artist, and I never really knew him, but we always had these paintings and stuff in our house, and we grew up very traditional and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
That was you and two brothers, was there?
I have three brothers and a sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know one of your brothers. Yes. So your dad did some painting, and you just got into it, and you looked at the paintings that he had done, or how did that work?
Well, yeah, like, I just seen these paintings. They used to be hanged up on the wall, and I was just sitting there, and I used to draw for the longest time. I don't know, until I was probably about 16. Then my mom decided to get me some paint and try that, and that didn't work out too good. So I used to just paint as a hobby.
Yes.
And just go from there.
But it did work out really well eventually.
Yeah.
So, like, how did this come? You really had no education of any kind. This was just
trial and error.
Trial and error.
Oh, yeah, I used to paint it, didn't like it, wipe it down, paint it over.
Another one.
Do that. And some of my older paintings, you'll look on the side of them, you'll see like 7 different colors. That's how many times I painted that canvas.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you kept on trying. And the thing is, I can only speak for the last 3 years. That's since we bought a lot of your artwork. Mm-hmm. But you really have evolved into, Rodder McDonald said the other day, our former premier, a world-class artist. Your paintings are very spiritual. Mm-hmm. They have a lot of meaning. The style is being perfected constantly. Now you also paint a lot of chiefs, but sometimes you also paint in one figure, or like one shape. You paint 6 or 7 animals and a person at the same time.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like, where do these ideas come from?
Actually, when I first started doing that and putting other things in, I had no idea what I was doing. I just sit there and I'll just paint, and probably about 30% into it, I look at it, step back, I try to figure out what it looks like, then I'll paint that. And it's like, what does this look like on that side? And I started painting that there, and they just started forming like that there. people used to ask me, what are you painting? And I'd be starting off and be like, I don't know.
Wow, that's amazing. So really the painting evolves, it comes out of your mind, out of your head?
Yeah, I just start with a little brush and just paint, and when I started it, I don't know what I'm painting.
Wow, that's amazing. And then of course, when the paintings arrive here, they are always very detailed and then have a lot of meaning. So while you paint, I guess the purpose of the painting also evolves, like why you do it?
Or why do I paint it?
No, like why you do certain things. Like you start with something that could potentially become an eagle, but suddenly the eagle also becomes maybe a fish. So really, it's very interesting. Really, the purpose of the painting evolves, or the message in the painting evolves also as you paint.
I don't know, because sometimes I painted it and I look at it and I started off as a wolf and it doesn't end up a wolf, it turns into an eagle or turns into a bear or something.
Exactly, but how you do it is so amazing.
I don't know, it just comes. I don't plan on it. I don't sit there and think about it or whatever. But some of them I draw a note and I know where everything's planned and it's going to be. But the ones that don't draw out and I just do freehand, I just have no idea where it's going.
So you have two ways of painting. One where you do a sketch before and then the sketch kind of tells you where you're going.
Yeah.
And the other one is almost like a happening. You just let it happen and see what comes out of it.
Yeah.
Well, actually, yeah, I can see that in your paintings. We probably have 200 of your paintings here, and I know them well. Yeah, I can certainly see that. So I'm always thinking, for me it's almost like Christmas. You come in once a month, and your wife does your mom. You bring your artwork, and I'm always so curious and excited. So is all of our staff. What happens, what it looks like, and. I hope you're going to keep on painting for a long time, because not only are you in our first book, you'll be in the second Fancy United book too, of course. And the work is really amazing. Like I'm saying, a lot of Europeans will ask questions. You brought one painting in that's called 21 of Us, and you had on the tree, on trees 4 faces, and so I could count 4 people, and you call it 21 of Us. I'm thinking, okay, so there's 4. Where's the other 17? And I'm looking, and say, I don't see 21 people. And then suddenly, I'm looking at the roots, and so there's the tree trunks, and you go down, and then at the end you have roots. And suddenly, when you look really close, all these roots are faces, like your ancestors. How did you come up with this idea? It's
That's
awesome.
one there that just came to me. I just started painting it, and I had no idea what it was at first.
Wow.
That was all freehand there, and I just went with it, and that's the way it came out.
So it's almost like you paint your soul, if you want to call it that. You just paint.
I just let the brush go and just do what I want. Turn on the music, listen to music, and just sit there and paint.
That's something. All the artists I talk to, they like to listen to music while they paint. Does it help you?
Yeah.
It does. Okay.
Yeah. I know, you kind of lose time. You be sitting there looking, be like 12 o'clock or something, be painting, and next you know it's like 7 o'clock in the evening or something.
Right, so really you paint 7 hours, but you really don't notice how time passes by.
Yeah.
Amazing. J.B. Redbird told me the same thing. He says when he paints, he never keeps track of time. And so he might start early in the morning, done late at night. He might stop for a small snack, and that's it. It's almost like he pours his soul into those paintings, as you do. So when Mandy paints, your wife, how does Mandy paint?
She paints at night.
She paints at night.
She paints at night. She usually starts maybe about 12 or something, maybe about 11. Then she'll paint until like 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And so how do her paintings evolve? I see, like I seen her say make some sketches, but does she also have these 2 things where things evolve,
Or she draws. Everything's planned out on her. She draws. She gets a canvas.
Yes.
And she sketches it out on paper first.
Yes.
She sketches it all out. Then she'll put it on the canvas, and she'll draw it out all again on the canvas. And everything's all drawn out. Everything's all on there before she starts painting.
So she has a really completely different style from yours.
Yeah.
Like where yours evolves, she knows exactly where she's going.
Yeah, all the colors are all picked out. Everything's all planned and everything before she starts painting.
Okay.
Where I just grab the paint and I just
start going.
I just grab paint and literally pour it on the canvas and just start going with it.
Amazing. So Mandy has a very own style, obviously. I love all of her paintings. One was called Sun Dancer. It was amazing. I see in her paintings also a lot of spirituality, same thing. But it seems to me that often your paintings and Mandy's too deal with wildlife, the sky, trees. It's all nature, and it really seems to connect all the artists. Would you say the same thing?
Yeah. Well, I find most of the artists are like very spiritual or traditional and stuff like that there.
Yes.
Like, I used to go to Powwows on all when I was younger. Went from Paris, Ontario to Newfoundland going to Powwows. Then I went to Sundances, and now I was in South Dakota.
Right.
And you see a lot of different stuff out there and stuff. Well, I've done one painting it's all the Sundancers.
Yes.
That painting only took 5 hours to do.
Okay.
The one with all the Sundancers and the tree and everything.
Yes, 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 yes.
I started at 12 at night and I finished at 5 in the morning.
Okay.
I had no idea what I started painting, then that's what came out.
Okay.
It's just, you paint what you see, and we see a lot of Indians and spiritual and stuff like that there.
Talking about South Dakota, your mom told me something interesting. I've known Sandra like your mom now for 3 years, and she's done many quill baskets for us, and she told me that many years ago she had lung cancer. And there's, I guess, traditional healer or spiritual person in your community. And while the doctors really said, look, there's nothing we can do, she went to the healer, but she said the healer also learned things in South Dakota, so you must have traveled quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, with my mom, the doctors told her she has 5 years to live.
Yes.
If she quit smoking, that's the maximum they gave her, and that was probably about 20 years ago.
But now she's healed.
Yeah.
She said she did a lot of sweat lodge with
She went
medicine man.
sweats in, she went to South Dakota. She done 4 years dancing up there. Then she went on a
like Sundancing?
Sundance, yeah. Then she went on a fast, and she had a doctor in sweat, and she had a medicine made.
Yes.
She
told me about that.
Yeah,
too,
she
yes.
had a doctor's letter out to go for let her out of the hospital to go for the sweats and stuff like that there.
Yes.
And he made this, like she couldn't breathe. She used to always have that mask on
Yes.
and
Yes.
always on that mist and stuff.
Yes.
So he made, it's a skunk oil.
Yes.
And she had to breathe that in while she was in the sweat.
She told me she had to do a lot of different breathing with all kinds of natural.
Yeah. And when he done that there, it's like it cleared out her lungs.
Yes.
And she was able to breathe and all that there. And after her doctor and sweats and everything, she went in there and she didn't have to be in the hospital anymore. She didn't have to go on her poppers. And like, for the last 10 years, I never seen her take a popper at all.
Ever.
Yeah.
So this is something I'm starting to explore now more and more coming through in Germany. I was brought up with a very high sense of reverence for First Nations people. And in Germany, we hear about these things. But for me to meet a person, and now a close friend of mine, your mother, who this happened to, is amazing. I mean, like especially your mother, I know so well that like if she says how this happened, and you obviously also were there, that's amazing. So would you say that this also sometimes is being reflected in your paintings, this type of spirituality and the old, I don't know, remedies you want to call it? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, like Mandy's mom, she knows a lot of traditional medicines and stuff with flag root and stuff like golden threads and stuff like that there.
Yes.
She knows a bunch of them. She can name them all and how to pick them and stuff like that there.
Right.
Yeah. So she's pretty good with that traditional medicines and stuff.
I think the more we can preserve, the better. Really, like what I've seen coming from Germany years ago, couldn't see very many First Nations people left on the East Coast. I didn't know why. After many years of research, I found out about Mr. Cornwallis, the founder of Halifax, who unfortunately had a bounty in 1749, I think it was, for a few years on First Nations heads or scalps. And so I think on the East Coast especially, there's very little left, and the very little that there is left, I hope we can revive. Art is one thing, there should be other things too. And this especially if we can talk to the old medicine people or First Nations people can educate themselves again. It's most important to preserve your language and the remedies, everything there is.
Yeah, like I can understand a little bit of Mi'kmaq language.
Yes.
I just understand enough to get by, but I can't speak it or.
Yes.
Yeah, and like they say, like the Mi'kmaq's culture's already so lost.
Yes.
Like with the sweat and stuff, and that's borrowed from out west and brought in.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
there was nothing left.
There's not really traditional Mi'kmaq left, really.
Not much, yes.
Not much, yeah.
Well,
like out of the baskets and canoes and
Yes.
stuff like that there, that'd probably be it.
well, but even that's, obviously worth saving.
Mm-hmm.
I know your mom told me she was one of 12 women who used to know how to make quill baskets.
Mm-hmm.
The other 11 died. She was the last person remaining.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tried to Friends United, give her opportunities to teach the young children again, others. And I think that's most important, because really that's what we are all about, maintaining the old habits, the old traditions. And it might take a while yet to go look for more and more people, also older people, but the more we can maintain, the better. And I spoke to Paul Martin recently, our former Prime Minister. There was a meeting in Sydney. He was there for the opening of new courses for school, where they're going to be taught about First Nations art and culture. But he was really saying two things. First of all, First Nations people should, again, be taught about their own culture more. And again, he also thinks we have to revive that. But number two, I think we also talked about the fact that even other Canadians should also know more about it, because it's worth saving. And the way we're trying to preserve the Gaelic language around here, which is very important. Rodney MacDonald, who's a big part of our project, our former premier, is right now the head of the Gaelic College. But he also sees very much the wisdom in preserving First Nations art and culture. And how would you go about it? Is there anything else that you can think of? Who else can we talk to?
Well, the schools are already doing a better job. Like when I was going to school,
Yes.
they had a Mi'kmaq studies class,
Yes.
And we had a choice to take that or French. So all the Indians or Mi'kmaqs took Mi'kmaq studies.
Right.
But when we're going to school, that Mi'kmaq studies class wasn't really much.
Okay.
They had a book there that nobody really understood and stuff like that there. They
Right.
didn't teach us anything about the language or anything like that there. And they had a non-native come in and he was trying to teach Mi'kmaq studies, which he had no knowledge of.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
interesting, yes.
But now they have native teachers coming in, teaching Mi'kmaq studies, teaching the languages in schools and stuff like that there. And it's not just open for natives, it's open for everybody in the schools. Yeah, so
Yes,
they're already doing a better
that's
job
one
in
thing.
school.
I would love to learn some Mi'kmaq too, because, well, coming from Germany again, I was brought up with a very high sense of reverence for First Nations people. Everybody in Europe, actually, that I know is. And Rodney MacDonald said something a while ago. I think he said, a culture without a language is almost a dead culture. So the last that we have should really be preserved. And the language is certainly a very important part of that, no doubt about it. Here's another question for you, come to think of it. You've been part of our initiative now for 3 years.
Yeah.
Your mom too, and Mandy too, so there's 3 artists in the family. Where would you like to go with the initiative, but also where would you like to be as an artist or with your family in 2, 3, 4, 5 years?
Well, right now, just like this week or last week, me and Mandy, we're opening up our own gallery.
Good,
Yeah.
great.
We got our own building and stuff, and we took out the smokes out of the smoke shop and we put them in the craft shop, and we got that building for ourselves now.
Awesome, this is great.
Yeah, so we're going to set up our prints and some canvases and some
Yes.
paintings up there.
So then you don't have to have the gift of so much and the smoke shop, but you can also start to sell your own art in your own
Yeah.
small gallery.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, this is awesome. So like other prints helping that we are providing?
Yeah, prints. Yeah, I do pretty good. I probably do. In some months, I can do like 5 a month,
Yes.
especially in the summertime.
You sell them for 50 or 100, how much you sell them?
$100 each.
So that's
Yeah.
$300, $400, $500 a month.
Yeah.
Good. See, that's the point. This is really what Friends United is all about. I'm hoping that we can have all the other artists doing the same thing. Because selling paintings is one thing, but as you said before, once the paintings are sold, they're gone. And so I'm hoping if we can provide prints for you guys and you hand sign them, then that you can have more of an audience out there, and like more people can see what it's all about. But it also creates more revenue for you. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
like when before I make a painting,
Yes.
I make it and somebody else wants it,
Yes.
and this person likes it, and this person likes it, or whatever, and
Right.
then they want me to paint the same thing over and over.
Which is difficult.
Yeah, and doesn't matter how hard you try, you cannot do the same painting over and over.
Thank God. Thank God. They're all unique pieces. That's right.
Yeah, like the first time I done that half-dead tree was on an 8x10.
Oh, you've done it several times. Okay.
Yeah, it was on an 8x10. I liked it. It was very small.
But half-dead tree, that's the first one I ever bought. Yes.
Yeah, it was a small one. And somebody came in and seen it there. And he said, that looks nice. He told me how much. I'm like, I don't know. He said 50. So I sold it to him. I was like all excited. And Mandy said, that was a nice paint and you should do a bigger one. So I done a bigger one.
Right.
This was probably about a 20 by 30.
Yes.
And somebody was coming in and they offered me 100 and said, you know, I was quick to sell it there. So Mandy said, you should do a bigger one. He's sitting there, everybody loves this. Your paint, do a bigger one.
Yes.
And I done that real big one. Which one did you end up buying?
For $600, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Good. In fact, that's the first piece we ever bought, and it's on the wall over there. Everybody coming into the center is looking at it, and they're very amazed.
So like one was a yellow background,
Right.
another one was a real orange background, and this one was like a dark red to a yellow background, the
Yes.
one that you bought.
But really, they all carry the same message, that
Yeah.
the tree is dead on one side, where the civilization killed everything off, but on the left side, where the native people are living in tune with nature and harmony, everything's still alive. So I think even though they were different in size, the message was the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I still had it was the same idea, but it was just different sizes and different colors.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were saying your father's work inspired you. Did he teach you?
No.
Okay.
No, I barely knew my father.
Okay.
He died when I was like 16.
Okay, really young.
And from when I was younger, like my brothers and sisters, they used to go to him for Christmas and stuff and like
Yes.
that there, and I always stayed with my mom because I
Yes.
didn't know my father.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. But his work inspired you.
Yeah.
But your mom must have told you quite a bit about him, I would think.
Yeah, she told me quite a bit, yeah. When I started getting to know him a little later, when I started getting older,
Yes.
that's when we started getting closer, and that's when he passed away.
Sorry to hear that. I think always a mother and a father can teach the children. And this goes over generation, that's how we maintain things. But really, even though he had died, he could then convey his messages and his thoughts through his paintings, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. Okay. So yeah, I hope you're going to be part of our initiative for a long time. I'm always saying the people that will ultimately judge the initiative, if anybody ever will or would, are the artists, because this is about the artists, about bringing First Nations people together, about making them cultural ambassadors for Canada, for starters. But it's also about eliminating prejudice between First Nations people and other North Americans, and I still see quite a bit of it. Sometimes we even had some staff in Canada, Canadian staff, that really shocked me. What I've seen now, though, the last 3 years, that people come in here, other Canadians, other North Americans too, and they love the work, and they say, wow, First Nations people can do this, we didn't know, or look, if they're given a chance, they can do as much as anybody else. And like we had hired some carpenters from Wakeabout, they worked also on this building here. And to me, I could never understand, people say there's a labor shortage here. Well, why don't we hire more First Nations people? It worked actually quite well for us. Vicky and Mike worked here doing the roof and everything else. So I really think after 300, 400, 500 years of, I'm going to call it abuse, yeah, actually it was definitely abuse. Actually, a lot of residential schools, Cornwallis, yes, can give education to First Nations people. They can do a job like anybody else, and that's my whole point. And you a classic example, so is your mom. In fact, your mother works so hard. She picks blueberries, she does look after elderly people, she nurses them, she does the quill baskets. She tries so hard to make a living. If everybody had that kind of work ethic, our world would be a much better one.
Oh yeah, my mom, she had us working and stuff when we were young, you know. If I sat down in a blueberry field when I was a kid, they couldn't find me.
Yes.
That's how young I started working, when I was working in a blueberry field and stuff like that there.
Right.
And I'd be raking. I used to only rake maybe 2 boxes, 3 boxes or something like that there. I was only a kid and I only had a small rake. But each year I came back and she kept on pushing me to break some more.
Okay.
So when all these other kids or something, they got their a school check, eh?
Yes.
$110 or stuff like that there for school supplies and whatnot.
Yes.
And I used to go away for the summer. When I come back, they only made $100 or $110, and I'll come back with maybe $600, $700 from raking blueberries and stuff.
But you worked for it.
I worked for it, yeah.
See, so there's my point. First Nations people have often very good work ethics, and they have to often be taught by their parents. Your mother's such a spiritual hard worker who consistently works and provides for a family. I think that's important. But obviously, there's a classic example of First Nations people haul their weight like anybody else, if not even more. And I wish more parents would teach their children like that, because also these were the work ethics from your mom and the art, and your father then gave you some of his artwork or through his paintings. And this is how you evolved into who you are. And I think you can be very proud of yourself, but also of your family, because what you guys have done with the Friends United project, and even long time before on your own, is amazing. And I'm very proud that you guys can do that. So this is awesome, really. Okay. Well, listen, we're going to check out some quill baskets afterwards that your mom has done, but I want to thank you for being part of the initiative. I want to thank you for being my friend. And I've learned a lot from you over the last 3 years. Thanks so much. All right.